All right, so right off the bat, I'm just going to say it. There's a new report showing that AI is not going to replace software developers. You heard it here first, folks. AI promises everywhere. You're hearing all this hype that it's going to wipe out entire engineering teams. But the data from a research that was done by Stanford by 100,000 developers shows that it's boosting productivity about 20% on average, okay? Now, sometimes it makes things even worse. So how much are we really gaining when AI spits out code faster, only to bury us in bugs and rework? As someone who's built software for a long time, I have to ask, are we trading real skills for quick fixes that could cost us down the line? And if giants like Google are only seeing a 10% lift on this, why would we believe the hype from vendors who are pushing us their tools? So we're going to dive into this today and look at what Stanford's massive study shows us and what's actually really happening under the covers. Let's dive into this today. Welcome to Startup Hack. I'm Spencer, and here at Startup Hack, we love to train software developers as well as build custom software solutions for companies. With a decade of leadership as a fractional CTO and 25 years in software development, I've mastered transforming tech teams and products. All right, so the rush to let AI handle coding is absolutely everywhere, and nobody can hear from it. Even people who don't even know anything about software development are coming up to me being like, so you're out of a job? I'm like, no, actually, business is busier than ever. And Stanford did a deep dive and did a research of 100,000 developers across 600 companies, and it paints a very clear picture. You gain at most about 20%. So sure, it's with some pitfalls like extra debugging and loss of understanding. So it's time to question if we're really building better teams or just masking things, some deeper issues. So we're going to dive into some of this today. I'm going to pull up some of this research here for you. All right, so there's a recent YouTube video that was released by a researcher, Yeger Denisich Blanche. See if I said that right. Apologies to him if I totally butchered his name here. But he's a researcher at Stanford, and it says, does AI actually boost developer productivity? And it's a 100,000 dev study. Now, they haven't actually published the full study, but they did an early report on this to give us some of their early findings, right? And you can see right here in the study, our study at Stanford cuts through the noise, analyzing real-world productivity data from nearly 100,000 developers across hundreds of companies. We reveal the hard numbers. While the average productivity boost is a significant 20%, the reality is complex. Some teams even see productivity decreases with AI adoption. Now, he goes through and breaks this down, but I'm going to give you some of the highlights of this so that you don't have to watch the whole thing here. Now, this is his research group, and so lest you just think he's a dude on YouTube, which, by the way, you know, you're listening to some dude on YouTube, right? But this is how you participate in their engineering research, and you could have signed up to produce this, and this is the group that was doing it. And this was the languages they were working with, so that, you know, some of the thing to look at. And this is how they did the research study. But they did a research study across 600 companies, 100,000 developers. So this is where I got the data from that I'm going to go through with you guys as part of this today. So, you know, they found that, again, on average, that developers were improving by about 20%. So the studies from tools, sorry, I lost my place in my notes. Okay, back to it now. But see, one of the interesting things about this is a Google CEO, Sundar Pichai, reported that only 10% increase on their massive scale. If there's anybody out there who knows engineering and who also knows metrics, Google is the king of metrics and the king of engineering. There's very few companies, if any, who have more engineers than Google. So if even Google, with the world's biggest dev crew and some of the most advanced AI, like we're going to put the AI wars aside here for a second, some of the most advanced AI, and even they're only getting 10%, this gives you real hard numbers, between 10 to 20% of improvement. Now, that's not nothing, right? If I could take a company and say automatically we're going to improve at 10 to 20%, that's a real number. But you've got to know that it comes with some other things, right? Pumping out more code with AI might feel productive, but it often creates junk that devs spend hours fixing. So the study shows that teams deliver 30 to 40% more initially, but then they lose half of those gains debugging the AI-induced messes. So refactoring stays steady, but it's rework, right? That's recent changes to fresh code. So spikes, meaning wasted effort on avoidable errors. So it's like revving an engine without checking the brakes. You go fast, but you risk crashing into bugs, right? So what I've seen in custom builds, real efficiency ties to clean, maintainable systems, not pile of auto-generated lines of code. So I have people in my comments all the time come in and be like, man, I generated 5 billion lines of code yesterday, and therefore I've made this totally autonomous system. And I'm thinking, man, anything that you generated of 5 billion lines of code in one day, I don't want anything to do with. But so a real developer knows that you need strong problem solving to spot traps. And that's kind of the problems here, right? Is you can generate a ton of code, but it takes a lot of work to then spot what could be going wrong. Now, for a simple job, AI is really going to shine, and this is what the study found, with up to 40% faster delivery in fresh projects. But when you come to high complexity work, it actually drops to 10% or less, and often even harming the project. So this is exactly what I've been saying here for a long time. If you're a product manager, you want to do some vibe coding to put together a prototype or a working thing to be able to communicate with shareholders or even with your dev team, this is a great use for AI coding tools, right? If you want to generate code, or you want to plug it into your complex system that has code from across 15 years and across 4 different languages, varying between, microarchitectures and, large monoliths, and you throw it all into a project, the chance that the AI is going to really help you a ton is very little. So data from 136 teams showed that low difficulty tasks get the biggest bump, which it doesn't surprise us, right? And that's because AI handles boilerplate well, right? But it really struggles with nuanced logic, leading to more trial and error. I know I've given it some of our more legacy code bases, and legacy is a really nice word, right? Some of my old crappy code from 15 years ago. And I've given it this stuff and tried to have it try to work through this. And when it tries to work through some of this stuff, first of all, it doesn't even recognize it because some of the code is so old and bad. It's what I call my 2 a.m. code, right? I look at that stuff and think, I definitely coded that at 2 a.m. as part of my side project, right? Because when we originally started Clean Router, I was working a day job as a full-time software developer and built Clean Router at night. And so there was a lot of our code we were truly writing at 2 a.m. And I can definitely go back and find that code now, right? And so when I throw that code at AI, it does not do well, right? Now, juniors especially need to learn this hands-on, and they end up as prompt tweakers instead of as architects. This building that continuous learning habit is a key thing for juniors, which is why here at Startup Hack, we love to build software developers as well. So if you're in Utah and Idaho and you're looking to become a registered apprentice, we start people with no experience and train you up and then put you into jobs where you're learning to code right away, right? So now if you've got a project where you're starting from scratch, AI can boost your productivity up to 30% for easy stuff. But when you get into the mature projects with hard dependencies, it's 0 to 10%, if not harming it, right? Now, I'm not saying that I'm against AI. I'm not saying you shouldn't use it. I think everybody should be using it. I think there's a lot of benefits to using it, but you've got to know what the real limitations are. So not only do you need to be watching for those real limitations, but one of the big harms we have from the hype right now is there's too many of the C-level and non-technical that are just taking it and drinking this and thinking, oh, well, we don't need software developers anymore because I've got AI, right? And they think because AI can do such a good job drafting their emails for them that it can just as well write some code for them. That's part of the problem. Larger code bases amplify the problems, with gains dropping sharply past a few thousand lines of code as models get overwhelmed. Even with huge context windows like Gemini's and other large context windows, Anthropic just announced they're raising their token size to 1 million, right? It still can't handle these, right? So performance tanks from 90% to 50% at scale. So it's actually humorous how we can expect AI to just get our Tego legacy systems. I can't even remember what it's supposed to be doing, and I wrote it, right? So if you ask a newbie to refactor your grandma's recipe book, like, you're going to be in for trouble, right? That's what's going to happen here. So we got to focus on domain logic and dependencies first, just like I always tell my clients. Now, if your company has systems that aren't connected and you need help, reach out to us, because our specialty is connecting systems to help your company work like a well-oiled machine. And don't listen to me about my old code. We only write good code now. But check out startuphack.com/Spencer. That was while I was doing it at night by myself as a side job. Not for clients. We build great stuff. Now, popular languages like Python or JavaScript see 20% gains on simple tasks, but obscure languages like Haskell definitely doesn't even know what to do with it and generally doesn't even produce right code. So AI flops on low popularity code, helping only sporadically and sometimes decreasing speed by suggesting bad ideas, right? So teams just stop using it when it's wrong more often than it's right. And that's kind of like the boy who cried wolf, right? So one of the other things that's really important is AI can help teams to push code quicker, but the study notes that it gives a large amount of rework, right? So sometimes it's easier to just jump in, do it, and fix it. So, I want to jump over to this article here a little bit too, because this one talks about the senior developer ghetto, how we created a glass of ceiling made of AI and legacy code, right? Now, he goes on to talk about how there's this idea out there that we're going to have this junior developer extinction. Now, I don't think we're going to see this because I think people are not this dumb. I think we're finding that AI is not as good as we thought it was, right? But he's talking about this and he's saying that and he's going back through some older examples. I'm not going to quite go through all that, but he's saying that that there's definitely a persistent ageism that creates this ghetto wall, right? So when you've got a whole bunch of old seniors, which is kind of what everybody's doing right now, everybody's saying, oh, I only want to hire senior, I only want to hire senior. But this becomes part of the problem, right? Because in this, we're not going to have this rise of these junior, right? And that's the problem here, right? So he's also saying that remote work makes this even worse. I want to get down to this down here at the bottom, right? So junior developer extinction eliminates the learning pipeline. And that's the problem that we have here, right? We've got to be able to keep developing the next lines of code. The other part that I'm going to say with this is I like to hire juniors because one, they're generally more energetic. They're eager to learn. Senior guys are like, nope, this is how I do it. You can kind of take it or leave it. The junior guys, generally you can pay a lot less too. But then you get to train them to exactly what you want. Sure, they may not be as productive at first, but give them 3 to 6 months and I can usually get these guys molded into some pretty good software developers, especially on the tech stacks that we want to work on. Now, I'm going to jump into this other article here to kind of wrap things up today, but it says AI won't replace programmers. It'll let programmers replace everyone else. This is one of the things, just even going off of the title here, that I've been saying for a long time. People are coming at me saying, oh, I heard software developers are going to get replaced. And I'm thinking, man, why is it software developers are going after to say to get replaced? I can tell you right now, there is going to be 150 different job types that are going to get replaced before software developers. Now, people are telling me all the time, oh, look, development numbers are down. Look, interest rates have killed more developer jobs right now than AI has, guaranteed. And I will show you the data. If you don't believe me, go back and check out the previous jobs, but we'll go into some of this here even too. AI won't replace programmers, but rather make it easier for programmers to replace everybody else. And that is the truth, right? For how long has for how long has developers been replacing other jobs? A long time. I've been in software development for over 25 years. The very first job that I had replaced 3 people who were doing an automated task. Now, I didn't replace them. They went and got another job in the same company. But it took this and then automated out a lot of that process. We've been doing this for decades. Software developers have been automating jobs. Now, they very rarely automate out their own jobs. And that's one of the things we're seeing, right? Specific knowledge is knowledge that cannot be taught. If society can train you, it can also train someone else to replace you. And that's true. So I just kind of wanted to go at that because I think that's an interesting point to understand, is that what a lot of people are saying, hey, software developers are going to get replaced by AI. It's funny to me that people are jumping to software developers to say that it's going to get replaced, because ultimately software developers are the ones who know how to build the machines. They're the one who knows how to integrate AI. And as long as there's unclean data, then you're going to need software developers to help you get those systems connected. Now, if you have systems that aren't connected, reach out to us, because we specialize in connecting systems so your company is just happier. Once Startup Hack's been there, everybody's singing Kumbaya and we're just like having a great party. We can help you get your systems connected. So check out startuphack.com/Spencer because we'd love to help you. So one of the things here is reviews turn into fast approval of AI code and miss subtle issues that humans would catch. This concept of just ship it, right, becomes a huge problem when people are trying to replace software developers, because the code is not being reviewed that AI can generate. So even if we did have a system that could perfectly generate tons of code, it still has to be reviewed. In a general software development practice, one human reviews another human's work. Why would we change any of that process just because it's AI generating it, when we know actually AI is actually less reliable? At best, the best systems right now are generating hallucination rates at 20%. That's crazy high. You are not going to get a software developer who produces code at that level, like they'd be fired so quick. So AI itself won't boot developers, but those who knows how to master AI might. So I've been saying this for a long time. I tell my devs all the time, AI is not going to replace you, but a developer who knows how to use AI might. So you want to blend tools with solid skills, solid problem solving, and solid communications, and that's going to allow you to stay ahead. And you want to learn how to use AI. It's going to become like Andre Karpathy, man, I can't say his name right now, said, and he made the analogy that a software developer who knows how to use AI is like Iron Man, right? You still got Tony Stark on the inside, and that's us software developers. We love to think we're Tony Stark, right? But we've got the human on the inside with the superhuman powerful suit on the outside. And that is like a software developer who knows how to use AI. It's not the robot who comes along to replace them, right? So the study varies by a lot of different things, like the code we talked about today, and the code factors, like what type of code it is, how old the code base it is, how complex it is, right? But I can tell you overall, AI offers real boosts, but about 10 to 20% at most, right? So Stanford's data on 100,000 developers underscores this. And if Google can only be producing 10% gains, then how do you think you're going to suddenly be 40 to 50%? And if that AI software salesperson is telling you something else, tell them to take a hike, right? Tell them Startup Hack said. Because here at Startup Hack, we love to train software developers as well as build custom software solutions for companies. Now, one of the best compliments you can give for me is to leave a comment down below. It's my favorite thing is we answer all these comments. I love hearing your comments down below. So make sure you like and subscribe and make sure you comment. Here at Startup Hack, we love to train software developers as well as build custom software solutions. So reach out because we'd love to help. Check out startuphack.com/Spencer and here's some great information about our services. Hi, I'm Spencer, a fractional CTO. With over a decade of executive leadership and 25 years in software development, I've transformed technology teams and products for businesses just like yours. As your fractional CTO, you get the strategic guidance of a seasoned technology executive without the full-time commitment. Perfect for companies ready to leverage cutting-edge technology without expanding headcount. My team at Startup Hack has already built advanced AI agents for small and medium businesses, automating complex workflows and delivering advanced ROI to human workflows. We specialize in creating custom software that connects your systems into a single coherent technology ecosystem. Our development approach focuses on tangible business outcomes. For one client, we developed AI-powered workflows that cut days off of human processes. For another company, by connecting multiple systems, we reduced processing time to increase their ROI by over 75%. We don't just write code, we architect solutions that scale. Whether you need cloud system architecture, data integration between legacy systems, or custom AI agents that automate your unique business processes, my team delivers results that exceed your expectations. Having led technology for a lot of companies and launched 7 successful brands of my own, I bring battle-tested expertise to your business challenges. Our specialty is turning technological complexity into business advantage. So if you're ready to harness the power of AI and custom software to drive your business forward, let's connect. Together, we'll build technology that doesn't just solve today's problems, it positions you for tomorrow's opportunities. Technology leadership, decades of experience, AI powered. Reach out today and we can help you. Check out startuphack.com/Spencer.